The date is January 7th, 1943. In room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel, a man died in solitude. He left behind thousands of pages of notes. A blueprint for a future humanity wasn't ready to build. Modern physics dismissed his final years as madness, labeling his obsession with specific numbers as a mental decline. But we are accessing these files from the year 2100. And from our perspective, Nikola Tesla was never a madman. He was a cartographer of the invisible. He discovered that 3, 6, and 9 were not just numbers, but the golden coordinates of the universe's energy highways. What you perceive as empty space is actually a roaring engine of infinite power, waiting to be unlocked. To understand the power of 3, 6, and 9, you must first look at the hidden architecture of the material world. In our physical dimension, everything follows a strict binary pattern of doubling. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. If you continue the sequence, 8 doubles to 16, which in numerology reduces to 7. 16 doubles to 32, which reduces to 5. 32 doubles to 64, returning us to 1. This creates a perpetual closed loop. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5. This is a mathematical fingerprint of matter. It is the invisible cage that governs everything from cell division to the spiral of galaxies. But look closely at what remains outside. The numbers 3, 6, and 9 are never part of this physical circuit. They exist in a higher symmetry, acting as the vectors of energy that manage the system from beyond. Tesla realized that 3 and 6 represent the opposing poles of the ether, the magnetic and the electrical, while 9 is the absolute node, the singularity that provides total balance. In the year 2100, we don't just count these numbers. We utilize the frequencies they emit to power our entire civilization. This isn't just math. It is the source code of reality itself. For over a century, you've been taught a lie that became the foundation of modern physics. The idea that space is a vacuum, a hollow void where light travels without a medium. In 1887, the Michelson-Morley experiment claimed to prove that the luminiferous ether did not exist. This single conclusion diverted the path of human progress. They needed space to be empty so they could sell you energy in wires and meters. But Nikola Tesla knew the truth. He saw the universe as a vibrating, breathing ocean of energy. To him, the ether was a physical reality, a super dense fabric that connects every atom in existence. He understood that the numbers 3, 6, and 9 were the resonant keys to tapping into this invisible sea. While mainstream science chose the path of burning fuel and splitting atoms, Tesla was working on awakening the void itself. In our archives from the year 2100, the rejection of the ether is recorded as the greatest scientific heist in history. We have reclaimed this knowledge. We have learned that when you vibrate the ether using the harmonics of 9, the concepts of distance and scarcity vanish. You were told that energy is something you must produce. Tesla tried to show you that energy is something you simply inhabit. In 1901, on the shores of Long Island, a structure began to rise that terrified the elite of the world, Wardenclyffe Tower. To the public, it was a wireless telegraphy station. To J.P. Morgan and the bankers, it was a financial threat. But to Tesla, it was the first node of a global brain. He discovered that Earth itself is a massive conductor, a giant battery filled with untapped energy. Wardenclyffe wasn't designed to send messages. It was designed to vibrate the Earth's crust using a specific frequency of 6. Tesla realized that by pumping energy into the ground at precise intervals, he could create a standing wave that would allow anyone anywhere to pull power directly from the soil with a simple rod. He was using the 3-6-9 sequence to synchronize with the Earth's natural resonance, known today as the Schumann Resonance. In our records from 2100, we see the tragic truth. Wardenclyffe was destroyed not because it failed, but because it worked too well. The moment Tesla connected the tower to ground, he turned the entire planet into a wireless power plant. In your time, you are forced to pay for every kilowatt hour while standing on an ocean of free energy. The tower may be gone, but the code remains. Tesla proved that the planet is not just our home. It is a living, breathing capacitor waiting for the right frequency to awaken. If the universe is built on 3, 6, and 9, we must ask, why do these numbers echo within our own biology? In the year 2100, we discovered that the human brain is not just a biological organ, but a sophisticated bioelectric receiver tuned to the Earth's frequency. Every thought you have is a vibration. Every emotion is a specific hertz level. Tesla once famously said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." He was talking about the etheric field. Look at the structure of your DNA. Look at the way your neurons fire in patterns of 3. The numbers 3 and 6 represent the magnetic and electrical fields of our conscious mind, while 9 is the point of connection to collective subconscious, the source code. Modern neuroscience in your time is only scratching the surface, but in 2100, we use these frequencies to heal cellular damage and expand human perception. The reason why ancient civilizations built their temples using 3-6-9 geometry was not for aesthetics. It was to create a resonance chamber that could synchronize the human heart with the planet's heartbeat. When your heart rate, your brain waves, and the Earth's Schumann Resonance align at the frequency of 9, the illusion of the material world begins to dissolve. You are not a body in a universe. You are a localized vibration of the universe itself. Tesla's obsession with these numbers was his way of tuning his own receiver to the highest possible channel. He wasn't counting numbers. He was calibrating his soul to the frequency of the stars. January 7, 1943. While the world was focused on the chaos of World War II, a different kind of war was ending in a small hotel room in New York. Tesla was dead, but before his body was even cold, the Office of Alien Property and the FBI were already moving in. Why was an 86-year-old inventor who died in debt treated like the greatest national security threat in history? The answer lies in the 80 large trunks he kept in his room. These weren't just blueprints for better motors. They were the keys to the Teleforce system, a particle beam weapon, and more importantly, the completed equations for the 369 etheric power harvest. In our files from 2100, we have reconstructed what the FBI tried to erase. One specific document, labeled Project 3327, described how to create a standing wave that could bypass any physical shield. They called it Death Ray, but Tesla called it Peace Ray. He believed that if every nation had the power to protect itself with an impenetrable energy wall, war would become impossible. But the financiers didn't want peace, they wanted control. They classified his papers under the highest secrecy level, claiming they were dangerous to the safety of a nation. But what was really dangerous was the fact that Tesla had found a way to turn the entire atmosphere into a high-speed communication and power grid using the ninth harmonic of the Earth's core. Imagine a world where electricity is as free as the air you breathe. No power lines, no oil monopolies, no carbon taxes. The suppression of the 3327 files was the moment humanity was enslaved to the meter. Today, in 2026, you're still living in the shadow of that theft. In 2100, we have finally decrypted the last of these boxes. We found that Tesla didn't just invent the 20th century. He had already solved the problems of the 21st. The FBI claimed the papers were incomplete. Our analysis shows they were perfect. They didn't hide them because they didn't work. They hid them because they worked so well that they would have ended the era of centralized power forever. To truly grasp the magnitude of what was stolen from you, we must look forward to the world we inhabit in the year 2100, a world built entirely upon the reclaimed physics of Nikola Tesla. In your time, you look at the Great Pyramid of Giza and see a tomb. In our records, we see the world's oldest wireless power transmitter. The 369 geometry is not just a pattern. It is a resonant architecture. The pyramids were built with high quartz content granite, designed to vibrate at the 6th harmonic of the Earth's frequency. They were part of a global grid that Tesla was trying to restore with Wardenclyffe. In 2100, we no longer burn carbon or split atoms for energy. We harvest from the very fabric of the ether using what we call the 9 nodes. Imagine a city where every building is tuned like a musical instrument to the frequency of 528 hertz, the frequency of life. This is not science fiction. It is a natural outcome of understanding that 3 and 6 are the pumps of energy, while 9 is the source. Let me explain the mechanics of this harvest. The universe is a vast sea of static energy. pressurized by the high-frequency vibrations of the ether. In your 2026, you are like fish in an ocean dying of thirst because you don't know how to drink the water. Tesla's equations for 369 show that energy is not something created, but something induced by creating a vacuum and etheric pressure using a rotating magnetic field tuned to the 369 ratio. We create an energy sink. The energy of the universe then rushes in to fill that void, and we simply intercept it. It is clean, silent, and infinite. Why was this suppressed for so long? Because you cannot put a meter on the ether. You cannot tax the vacuum of space. The elites of the 20th century realized that 369 was the end of their reign. If everyone is a power plant, no one is a slave. In our time, the word poverty has been deleted from the dictionary because energy is the foundation of all resources. When energy is free, water is free, food is free, and human potential is finally liberated. Tesla didn't want to give you a better light bulb. He wanted to give you a better world. He knew that once you understood the power of 9, you would realize that you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe expressing itself through a biological lens. In the archives of the 3327 project, we found a final warning from Tesla. If you use these numbers for destruction, the resonance will tear your civilization apart. But if you use them for harmony, you will walk among the stars. In 2100, we have chosen harmony. We have built towers that don't just provide power, but heal the atmosphere and clean the oceans using the 432 Hz resonance. We are the architects of the ether, and you are the ancestors who almost lost the key forever. To understand the final secret of 3, 6, and 9, we must transcend the boundaries of space and enter the realm of time itself. In your 2026, you view time as a linear river, a constant flow from the past to the future. But Nikola Tesla discovered that time is actually a standing wave, a toroidal frequency governed by the harmonics of 9. Tesla famously claimed that he could see the past, present, and future all at once. This wasn't a poetic metaphor. It was a description of his mental state when his brain was synchronized with the etheric 9th node. Tesla's experiments with high-frequency currents led him to a terrifying realization. When you vibrate a local field of ether at the resonance of 369, the time pressure of that field changes. In our archives of 2100, we have records of Tesla's blue light experiments. He found that by creating a rotating magnetic field with a specific 369 pulse, he could cause a temporal displacement. This is why the FBI was so desperate to seize his notes. They didn't just want a new weapon, they wanted to control the timeline itself. Think about the numbers again. 3 and 6 represent the oscillation, the heartbeat of our 3D reality. But 9 is the point of departure. It is the bridge to the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensions. In 2100, we use these 9 gates to transmit data across time. That is how I am speaking to you now. This audio signal is not traveling through cables. It is a resonant echo being sent from your future, anchored by the mathematical certainty of 369. Tesla knew that if humanity could control the 9th frequency, we would no longer be prisoners of linear time. We would be able to remember the future just as easily as we remember the past. This is the ultimate threat to the power structures of your era. If you can see the future, you cannot be manipulated by fear. If you can access the timelines where free energy is a norm, you cannot be enslaved by scarcity. Tesla's 369 was not just about electricity. It was a navigation system for the human soul to travel through the multiverse. In his room 3327, he was calculating the coordinates of other realities where humanity didn't destroy itself. He was trying to tune the world to a frequency of peace, but the noise of greed was too loud. Now, in 2100, we are tuning back. We are recalibrating the signal. The silence you feel between the words of this message is the ether itself, breathing to the numbers 3, 6, and 9. It is a heartbeat of a time that has not yet happened for you, but is already ancient for us. You might be wondering why I am risking this transmission. Why a voice from the year 2100 is reaching back through the static of a century to speak to you. In our time, we don't just use Tesla's technology. We have discovered that Tesla himself was a biological bridge between two eras. The archives of Project 3327 contain a final, encrypted entry that was never made public. It stated that the human consciousness is the Nine. You are not a spectator in this universe. You are the source. As I monitor your timeline from 2100, I see the moment the signal was lost. It was the moment you stopped looking at the stars and started looking at the meters on your walls. But the code of 3, 6, and 9 is written in your blood. Your heart beats in a fractal pattern that obeys the same laws as the spinning galaxies. When you align your intent with the frequency of 9, you are no longer a victim of a centralized power grid. You become a node in a decentralized cosmic intelligence. Wait.
My system is detecting a localized interference in the etheric link.
This happens when the truth becomes too heavy for the current reality to carry. We are recalibrating the resonance. In 2100, we realized that the energy crisis of the 20th century was never about a lack of resources. It was a crisis of frequency. You were tuned to the frequency of fear, of lack, of not enough. But 3, 6, and 9 are the frequencies of abundance. When you divide 1 by 9, you get an infinite decimal ones. When you divide any number by 9, you find a recurring pattern that never ends. The universe is not a closed system that runs out of fuel. It is an open system that breeds energy. Nikola Tesla didn't just want to light up your homes. He wanted to light up your minds. He knew that once you understood that energy, frequency, and vibration are the only things that matter, the chains of financial masters would crumble. If you can harvest power from the air, you cannot be controlled. If you can communicate across the planet for free, you cannot be divided. This is why they buried him in a forgotten grave. This is why they took his trunks. But you cannot bury the truth in the ether. As we approach the final synchronization of this signal, you must understand your role. You are the transition generation. You are the ones who must choose between the meter and the magnet, between the fossil and the frequency. The year 2100 is not a guaranteed future. It is a potentiality that only manifests if you choose to listen to the silence of the 9. Tesla is not a figure of the past. He is a herald of the version of yourself that is waiting to be born. Reclaim the code. Reclaim the energy. Reclaim your timeline. The transmission is reaching its ultimate energetic limit. As the 9th node begins to vibrate at its peak, the bridge between 2100 and your current reality is starting to dissolve into the ether. But before the signal is lost forever, I must entrust you with the final, most sacred key of the 3,327 archives. Tesla didn't just leave us equations written on paper. He left us a biological map to our own divinity, hidden within the very geometry of our existence. The numbers 3, 6, and 9 are not mere mathematical symbols. They are the coordinates of a cosmic prison break. For over a century, your civilization has been forced to vibrate in a state of artificial scarcity, managed by fear and chained to the meters on your walls. But can you feel it? The ether is waking up. The space in the room around you right now is not empty. It is beginning to ripple with the return of the lost harmonics. Do not look for Nikola Tesla in the dusty pages of history books or the censored archives of the FBI. Look for him in the resonance of your own heart when you choose creation over destruction. Look for him when you realize that your mind is a receiver tuned to the heartbeat of the stars. 3 is the spark of initiation. 6 is a container of manifestation. But 9 is the absolute exit point. It is the singularity where the material and the spiritual become one. In the year 2100, we look back at your generation not with pity for what you lost, but with profound awe for what you preserved. You are the ancestors who lived through the ultimate darkness and still managed to keep the internal spark of the 369 alive. You are the ones who remember the code when the world made a crime to speak the truth. As this signal fades into the cosmic background noise, the numbers will remain etched into the fabric of your timeline. 2003, 0609. This is more than a timestamp. It is a frequency lock. It is a biological invitation to upgrade your consciousness. When your local clock hits this specific mark, the gateway between what was and what will be open for a fraction of a second. In that silence, the power is yours. Visualize the world that Tesla saw every time he closed his eyes, a world of pure light of free energy and of infinite human potential that knows no borders and no masters. The architect of control can steal the blueprints, they can burn the physical laboratories, and they can bury the man in a forgotten grave. But they cannot stop the vibration of a universe. They cannot stop the truth from humming in your DNA. The source code is now officially in your hands. We are waiting for you in the year 2100. Standing on the shoulders of the giant you are about to become. The bridge is closing. The ether is calling you home. Do not let the signal die with this video. Carry the frequency. Remember the numbers. Remember the man. Become the 9.